All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom. As always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to go through Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. We're going to talk about what happened last week. We're going to talk about what happened over this weekend. And also, we need to talk about what's happening this morning. So a lot going on with Bitcoin. We're going to take a look at all of our normal charts, plus some news that just came out this morning. So if you're new here, we talk about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners all the time. So if that's content you're interested in, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I want to thank everybody. We did recently just reach 20,000 subscribers. So that was a big milestone. So thanks so much to all of our existing subscribers and welcome to any new subscribers. Also, if you guys could do us a big favor and smash the like button, I appreciate all the likes we've been getting. It's been helping out the channel a lot. We're going for 800 likes on this video. Okay, let's talk about Bitcoin. I'm going to get to all the normal charts, but first I want to start on the actual Bitcoin chart itself because we did have a flash crash this weekend. So I want to take a look at that. We are recovering, so I want to show you where we're at right now. I'm making this video Monday morning, and some news did come out over the last few hours I want to talk about as well. So if we look at the 4-hour chart, you're going to see a gold line here at around $66,856. That's where Bitcoin was when the U.S. equity markets closed on Friday. Friday was a bad day. You can see these two red candles right here. This is on the 4-hour time frame. So that was basically the trading day on Friday. It was down in a straight line, so it was a tough day for Bitcoin. It was a tough day for the Bitcoin miners. You're going to see that in the charts that we take a look at in a few minutes. But what I really want to talk about is sometime in the middle of the day, Saturday, we had a very quick dip to the downside. So you can see if we look at these just two candles, that's over a 10% dip in 2 hours. So that was a little bit of a flash crash. There was some global events going on that caused a little bit of a panic. But you can see since then, we've been really trending back in the right direction. We quickly got back up off of these lows. We did get down, according to this chart, to $60,822, so under $61,000. That really broke out of a few lines of support, but we quickly recaptured them. The first one is this red line right here at around 61,900, so just under 62,000. So you can see no 4-hour candles closed below that. We had another pretty decent line of support at around 64,500. That goes back to this candle here on April 2nd. So we've been holding that basically all of April. So we did struggle with that for a little bit, and at the moment we've broken back above that. You can also see in the last 4-hour candle, we did get all the way back to this gold line, which was where Bitcoin was when the market closed on Friday. So essentially, that flash crash pretty much 100% reversed itself. We have pulled back a little bit since then. This last leg up, I want to take a look at. We did get some potential news. This article came out overnight, and I want to talk about this because I think we need to be careful. We'll see by the time you guys are watching this, maybe this situation has changed. At the moment, you see this headline, Bitcoin and ETH rise as Hong Kong Bitcoin ETF applicants say they've been approved. So this is an important distinction. They're saying they've been approved, but I want to go through just a couple of sentences here. The Securities and Futures Commission, Hong Kong's markets regulator, has not made an official announcement. China asset manager Bosera Capital and other applicants posted to social media platform WeChat that they had been approved to list spot Bitcoin and ETH ETFs in Hong Kong. So I've highlighted the next sentence. However, these announcements seem to have front-run an official statement from the Securities and Futures Commission, which has not posted a list of approved issuers. Some of the posts have since been deleted. So we definitely seem to have some news, but this has not yet been confirmed. So I do think this was a part of the run up overnight last night. We're going to have to wait and see if this is actually confirmed. This is one of the big catalysts, in my opinion, that is sitting out there. If these ETFs can get approved, that is going to allow access to the Asian markets overnight, which obviously are open at completely different hours than the markets here in the US. So that would just add a lot more buying pressure. We can do a separate video on that, but I do think that this is going to be a very big event when it happens. Just like the spot ETFs in the US, this will add more buying pressure, more demand on Bitcoin. We're not sure if this has actually happened yet, so we will await an announcement from the Securities and Futures Commission, but that's one of the big things that was driving the action last night. So again, by the time you're watching this, we may know the answer to that. We're going to have to wait and see. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at some of our regular charts. I want to take a look at what happened last week, and particularly last Friday. Last Friday was a brutal day. So as you look at this chart, this is Bitcoin week over week as of last Friday, and every single Bitcoin miner was in the red. A lot of these, all of this move was on Friday of last week. So Bitcoin for the week was down just 1%, so pretty much sideways for the week. You're going to see in later charts, we're still hanging around very near our previous all-time high. So at the top of this chart, you have two that were down just 5%, Cleanspark and Cypher. So while every single Bitcoin miner was in the red, and every single Bitcoin miner did underperformed Bitcoin. These two seem to be the standouts. Some of the other large market caps, you've got Riot down 11% on the week, Marathon down 13% on the week, Bitfarms down 13% on the week. There is a bigger name that was down at the bottom of this list. Iris Energy was down 17% on the week. So Iris did have a good week last week. It seems like it pulled back and gave some of that back this week. So all in all, not a good day. This was the actual big board from Friday itself of all the Bitcoin miners. So you can see Marathon was down 8% just on Friday. CleanSpark was down 6% on Friday. There was only one Bitcoin miner that was in the green. That was Core Scientific, and it was up just 1/3%. Everything else was down significantly on Friday. So most of these losses that we're looking at all happened on Friday. So you can see I'm going to go to a chart of the inflows and outflows of the spot ETFs for the month of April. On Friday, we did have $55 million of outflows. So 3 of the 5 days last week were outflows. Monday was $223 million. That was the worst day of the month so far. We did have 2 days of inflows, $123 million on Wednesday and $91 million on Thursday. So this has been hit or miss so far in the month of April. Obviously, in January, February, and March, there was massive inflows. So we're going a little bit sideways. Still, most of this is coming from the Grayscale Trust. Grayscale did have one day. It had its lowest day out of every single day since the Bitcoin ETF started. On Wednesday, there was only $17 million of outflow. That seemed to be an anomaly. It picked back up. On Thursday, $124 million of outflow. On Friday, $166 million of outflow. And then Friday, kind of a strange day, $111 million of inflow for BlackRock, and then zero for everything else. So I'm not sure exactly what was going on Friday. We're going to have to see if these inflows pick back up this week. And of course, the last thing before we get to the rest of our charts, the Bitcoin halving is this week. So this is every 4 years. This has been long anticipated. We've been talking about this for months and months. According to this Bitcoin halving clock, and they're all a little bit different, it looks like this is going to happen after the markets close on Friday in the US, so sometime overnight. So by the time we have next week's update, we will have had the halving. All of next week's trading is going to be after the Bitcoin halving. So we're going to get our first glimpse as to what that's going to do for Bitcoin and what that's going to do to the Bitcoin miners. This is the biggest anticipated event in Bitcoin. It happens roughly every 4 years. So this is the last weekly update prior to the Bitcoin halving. Okay, with that said, if we get to the chart, if we take a look at year to date for Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners, you're going to see we still only have one Bitcoin miner in the green. All the rest are in the red. So Bitcoin as of Friday was up 59% for the year. Obviously, we had a flash crash over the weekend, but most of that has reversed itself as of this point that I'm making this video on Monday morning. So again, all these are as of Friday market close. So CleanSpark year to date was still up 35%, the only Bitcoin miner in the green in the year 2024. Then there's a few others that seem to be doing okay, but still, these are lagging Bitcoin significantly. Cypher is down 7%. That's the second best performing Bitcoin miner year to date. And remember, that's against Bitcoin up 59%. So obviously, the results for the Bitcoin miners in 2024 have been very troubling. We're now about 15 or 16 weeks into the Bitcoin miners moving in the wrong direction versus Bitcoin. So this has been a rough run. One of the things we're going to get a sense of over the next few weeks is, was this in anticipation of the Bitcoin halving? Are the Bitcoin miners going to start to turn around and move with Bitcoin? It's worth noting this is very similar price action to previous Bitcoin halvings. So the big moves in the Bitcoin miners have come somewhere 6 months or 8 months after the halving. So again, this is not financial advice. Just because that's what happened last time doesn't mean it's going to be what happens this time. I don't like to try to time the market. You can see almost all the Bitcoin miners are down 30% or more year to date. And again, that's in the same time frame that Bitcoin's up 59%. So some of the big names, Marathon, which is the largest by market cap, down 31% for the year. Riot, which is the third largest by market cap, down 41% for the year. CleanSpark is the second largest by market cap, and they are actually, like we said, they are the only ones in the green this year. There's 6 Bitcoin miners down over 50% year to date. 3 of these are down over 60% year to date. So I do think from Stronghold on down, Stronghold, Gree, Argo Blockchain, Mawson, and Any, they are all down between 57 and 67%. I think the market is deeply concerned about these 5 in particular. So I have been saying I do think there will be winners and losers as far as these stocks go for the Bitcoin miners this time around. So I've been on record for the last 17 months saying that I think you need to be careful, do your due diligence, and really choose wisely among these Bitcoin miners, because as we're seeing, there's already big differences in performance. I think this is going to continue, but obviously we'll have to wait and see. We're not even quite to the halving yet, so a lot of price action left to come, and we still have 2/3 of the year left here in 2024. Okay, this chart is comparing Bitcoin to the Bitcoin miners from their highs of November 21. That's when Bitcoin hit its previous high of $69,000. So from that, these were local highs. This was not necessarily the all-time high for some of these companies, but many of these companies, most of these companies did hit their all-time high in November of 2021. So you're going to see from that point, Bitcoin's been hovering around its all-time high. It's down just 3% off of that as of last Friday. CleanSpark, once again, is by far in first place here, but they are still down 37% off of their previous all-time high. You're going to see most of these are still down between 80 and 99% from their highs back in November of 2021. A few of the larger Bitcoin miners, Marathon, the largest by market cap, down 81% from its previous all-time high. Riot down 80% from its previous all-time high. It is worth noting, at the last halving in 2020, both Marathon and Riot were down approximately 80% off of their previous all-time highs. So in that regard, this is a very similar situation. Once again, that doesn't mean that they're going to have the same run, but most of their movement was after the halving, really for the next year after that. It's also worth noting, you're going to see we do have 4 of these Bitcoin miners down between 98 and 99%. So obviously the market is very, very worried about these 4 in particular. No one chart should be taken on its own, but basically if we look at all these things and all the other indicators, we're just trying to look for opportunities in here somewhere. And I do want to point out, particularly this chart in particular shows you the monumental amount of volatility in these stocks. So please, if you're investing in these or if these are on your watch list, please be careful. These are highly, highly volatile assets. I want to finish out by just taking a look at what happened last week overall in the market. And you're going to see this was not a good week for the market and for cryptocurrencies. It was, however, a good week for silver and gold. So that's an unusual situation. That usually does not bode well for the market. Oil was up last week. Gold and silver were up. You're going to see silver and gold were in the green last week. Silver was up 3%. Gold was up 1.3%. Gold is fluctuating very near its all-time high. It did hit a new all-time high last week. Silver's at like an 11 or 12-year high. At the same time, you're going to see everything else was in the red last week. The NASDAQ was down 0.5%. Bitcoin was down 0.75%. And some of these were bigger moves. The Dow, the Russell, and Ethereum were down between 2 and 3%. So those were big moves to the downside. If we take a look at this year to date, at this point, with the rough week that we had last week, the Russell 2000 is back in the red. Everything else is in the green. The Dow just barely, but the Russell continues to struggle. This is a 3+ year trend. On the flip side, you're going to see the cryptocurrencies are still in the lead. Ethereum up just under 40% and Bitcoin up just under 60%. So cryptocurrency continues to dominate. The markets did have a rough week last week, so it's a fresh new week this week. We're going to have to see what happens. Just to sum up, we have the Bitcoin halving coming basically at the end of this week. We're also anticipating news on the Hong Kong Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, so we'll see how that news plays out this week. We seem to be very near where we were as of the close of business on Friday. So at the moment, we have basically recovered from that flash crash. We'll see if that holds. That's what I've got for you on Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, please remember to smash the like button. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.